This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Today on the Financial Safari, we have best-selling author Coach Pete D'Arruda in-house. We're going to be discussing one of his books, Have You Been Talking to Financial Aliens? Elon Musk will not be joining us. This has nothing to do with SpaceX, but it does have everything you need to know about your retirement plan and more right here on the program. So stay tuned, all that and more when we return.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
And welcome into the Financial Safari. Consumer advocate Thomas Lipscomb here in studio alongside Coach Pete D'Arruda, better known as America's wealth, financial, and income coach. He's a best-selling author, winner of multiple Emmy, XP, Telly, and Quilly Awards. It's always an honor to have you here, Coach.
It's funny you mentioned Elon Musk
Yes.
in the intro. Well, Peter Diamandis, there's the three musketeers. We have Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and Peter Diamandis. Now, of those three, which one have you never heard of?
The individual you just said.
Peter Diamandis.
That's right.
All right, so he was the vision, or he had the vision behind SpaceX.
Oh,
we
really?
hear about SpaceX. He came up with
Okay.
the original SpaceX, called the X Prize, and he had a $10 million, I think it was $10 million, either $5 or $10 million prize. I think it was $10 million prize.
Wow.
For the first private company who could launch a rocket, have it orbit the Earth, and land back on Earth safely.
Really? Wow.
Yep. And so when I talked to Peter, he said he didn't have $10 million yet, so he had to go out and raise money. And he talked to Elon Musk and Richard Branson. They were some of the main benefactors, or people that funded the X Prize.
Wow.
And we did a movie with Peter Diamandis about 4 or 5 years ago now called The Visioneer. And it's available on Amazon Prime. And The Visioneer basically it's Peter Diamandis' story, because he's a guy you never heard of. And to me, and I've talked to Richard Branson, I've talked to Elon Musk, I think that Peter Diamandis is smarter than those guys. Wow. I would never say that to their face. But he really is. It's amazing what he knows. He's got a mechanical mind that I can't understand, right? Sort of like in the financial world, I have a financial mind that he can't understand.
Absolutely.
So everyone's good in something. And Thomas, that's why many times when we talk to financial advisors, it seems like we're talking a different language. It seems like you're talking to someone from a different country, maybe even a different world. That's why we say, have you been talking to financial aliens?
I love it. It's very creative. You're a very creative guy, Coach. And let's just dive on in, because you answer a few key questions in the book that I thought would be perfect for our viewers out there as well. Yeah. So I'm just going to...
By the way,
tell me.
We're going to give copies of this book out during the show.
Ooh.
So when you call in and then you want to have your no-cost consultation done, when you leave, you're going to get a 3-book set. This is one of the 3 books you'll get, as well as a box set that has a DVD, workbook, guidebooks, worksheets about your 401k, called the 401k Survival Box Set. It is valuable, folks, to have this in your hands, in your library at home.
Yeah, it absolutely
really
is.
is.
I've loved developing these resources with you.
You've helped me a lot on these.
They're a treasure trove. They really are just full of educational knowledge. So stay tuned for that, folks. We'll be talking about that shortly. So the first thing that I have for you here is a question that I think a lot of folks out there would be interested in, because we talk about diversification a lot on the program. So the question is this. You answer it in Chapter 3. What does true diversification mean to you? And how do you explain this to folks that you work with? Now,
diversification, let's start with there. What does diversification mean to you? It means something different to everyone. One guy said, diversification means to me having a bunch of different mutual funds. I said, well, that's diversification on the risk side, maybe, but there's no diversification on the safe side or income for future income that is lifetime. The core and explore philosophy. We talked on the show a couple weeks ago about the core and explore philosophy. So diversification is just making sure you don't have all your eggs, financial eggs, in one financial basket.
Okay, so talk to me about this, because you mentioned the mutual funds, and I think a lot of our viewers out there think, well, I have a mutual fund, it's got these 12 stocks in it, and even more than that, I've got 6 mutual funds here, however many it is, so I feel diversified. Why is that not the case?
People all know about their mutual funds. They know that they're in certain stocks. Hopefully you do. Yeah. But there's a bunch of underlying stocks, so they'll tell you the top 10 holdings many times, but won't tell you about everything else. And so what we've seen in a bunch of different mutual funds, when someone comes in with a bunch of mutual funds, first thing we do is we analyze a mutual fund for you. We look behind the scenes in places you might not know where to look to find out what's really in that mutual fund.
Okay.
So like tomato sauce. If you went to the Tony Soprano's house, he wouldn't tell you what's in the gravy, right? They call tomato sauce gravy
They
right
do,
there.
yes,
They won't tell you what's in there. Well, the mutual fund companies are sort of like Tony Soprano, where they'll tell you what they used to have, but they never tell you what's currently in there a lot of times.
Oh,
so
wow.
when you read that prospectus, it tells you what was there, but they're constantly making moves.
Okay.
So we can see many times what kind of moves they make. But here's why you might not be diversified even if you have, like, let's say 5 different mutual funds.
Sure.
Because mutual fund companies want to outperform the other mutual fund companies, or they want to look like they're investing like that. So they do what they call window dressing at the end of the year. They'll buy and sell different stocks, or they'll reallocate the different assets in there to buy the best performing companies of last year. So let's say they didn't have Apple in their mutual fund, but this year they're going to add it because Apple's been doing tremendous.
Right.
So when we look at a lot of mutual funds, though, many of the mutual funds have the same top 10 holdings.
Okay.
So you think you're diversified. You got 5 different mutual funds. You think you're going to be fine, but inside those 5 different mutual funds, some of the top 10 holdings are all the same. So therefore, if Apple takes, let's say Apple's in all of those 5, even though you thought you're diversified, and Apple takes a tumble, you're not just going to lose a little, you're going to lose a lot now because you are basically more concentrated. So the exact opposite of diversification is concentration, and you have way too much money in certain stocks or certain places. So number one, I don't like mutual funds to begin with. I think there are a lot of internal expenses you don't need to pay. There's a lot of taxation issues, again, because they do this window dressing where they're buying and selling stocks to make themselves look better. They hand the tax bill to you if you're a member, if you're in that mutual fund. So be very careful with mutual funds. I like managed accounts, and I like ETFs more than mutual funds. Now, it's not a blanket statement. There are some good mutual funds out there, but there are a lot of bad ones out there. Okay. There are a lot of bad ETFs out there. There are a lot of bad money managers out there, a lot of bad investment advisors. So you need to get with an independent fiduciary firm, in my opinion, that puts your needs first and will custom design stocks and strategies based on what you want, not what they're selling.
There you go. It really does make a lot of sense. Something that I learned early on from you was the power of working with a fiduciary, of course, but someone who is independent as well, because it's as if you own the farm, Coach, as opposed to being sold a couple of cattle that you then have to resell to people. It really is kind of like that, isn't it?
You don't want your cattle running away either.
No,
Somebody's stealing
either,
the cattle, right? And so we just have to be careful. And I know we get so bogged down in life with day-to-day activities and not really knowing what's really happening in the market. We hear what they want us to hear, but what's really happening. And so if you take a step back and you get true lifetime retirement diversification plans put in place, your money is not all going to be in the same place. And it's not going to be all in risk. Because we hear this term diversification, I think risk right away. When people come in and say we're diversified in the market, you're still in the market with all your money.
There you go.
How diversified are you if the market goes the wrong way? You weren't. And you don't want to find that out the day after. You want to know that the day before. We call that the financial red zone. That's age 50 and above. I say 52, right around there. In retirement or approaching retirement, the best time to know is when you can be informed. And so we'll do that for anyone who calls right now. We'll do your true diversification strategy and put together your total retirement plan.
That's fantastic, folks. Just call the number that you see on the screen, or you can send us a text message to the text code you see on the screen. We'd be honored to set you up with a meeting, a consultation, a true no-cost consultation. There's no obligation either with Coach Peter, a member of the team. And as he mentioned earlier, we will also give you a copy of Have You Been Talking to Financial Aliens? It's an absolutely fantastic resource. In addition to that, Coach, you've thrown out 2 other of your best-selling books that will include, as well as the 401k Survival Series. This is a plethora of content, but what it's meant to do is help you traverse that financial red zone, that 5 to 10 years before retirement. Make sure questions like this, that you truly understand what true diversification is, as well as other concepts that we talk about here on the program. So again, call the number that you see on the screen or give us a text. We'd be honored to set up a time to meet with you and make sure that you are on a secure path. But we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back with more from Coach Pete D'Arruda after this.
Hi, you're probably wondering why I'm standing here next to an old-time gas pump. Hi, my name is Greg Berrien, and I serve the Wilmington community for Capital Financial. Here at Capital Financial, we believe in setting up a plan that's going to provide you with a true financial fill-up, just like you fill up your car at the gas station when you need it. So it's always going to be there month after month after year. So if you want to take advantage of the financial fill-up and meet with a professional who will create a one-page financial review that will indicate if you're in need of a full-blown financial plan, then give us a call right now and take the mystery out of financial planning.
Welcome back into the program. Consumer advocate Thomas Lipscomb here with you alongside best-selling author and Emmy winner Coach Pete D'Arruda. We're here discussing one of his best-selling books. This is Have You Been Talking to Financial Aliens? A fantastic resource. I appreciate you writing it. You go through a lot of concepts here a lot of folks need to hear about.
Let me tell you why I wrote this book. This was years ago, but there's 7 or 8 important questions that I kept getting asked and answered. I answered all of them.
Sure, yeah.
Over and over again, Thomas. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me that was giving answers. So I interviewed 13 different financial planners, certified financial planners, all sorts of different designation kind of guys across the nation. And I got their feedback on these questions. So I got proper answers on these strategies. So it's not just me telling you what I think, it's everybody. And then I give my opinion and my opinion on what they say and my recommendations on these 8 very important topics.
Absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. And I have a question here that I think is going to impact a lot of people and may cause a lot of us to want to move a little quicker. One of your 7 financial blind spots that you talk about is procrastination. And so, folks, I do hope you're listening because this is something that could directly affect your wallet. Let's just be real about it. And the question is this, and you're going to see where I'm going with this. In what circumstances would a Roth conversion for a client make sense?
Yeah, now, what's a Roth?
Sure.
A lot of folks ask me, Coach, I hear about this Roth, and why should I do it? Why is my advisor telling me about it? More importantly, why hasn't my advisor told me about it? The Roth is a way for you to have a tax-free retirement income for the rest of your life.
There you go.
Roth IRA. Now, what's the problem with the Roth? Well, the problem is very slight, but because of this one little problem, it's why many of you aren't in a Roth. And who hasn't got that call from their accountant or CPA on April, let's say 10th, and they'll say, hey, get ready to file your return for you on April 15th, but you really need to put in $5,000 or $6,000 into an IRA account so we can reduce your income by $6,000. Or next year, we need to increase the amount you're putting in your 401k so we can make your income look smaller and get this money put in an IRA. Well, you know what the main problem is? Now you get a tax reduction for a regular IRA. Let's say you have a taxable income of $50,000, but you put $6,000 into a regular IRA. Now your taxable income is only $44,000.
Oh, wow.
Because you're only paying tax on $44,000 instead of the $50,000. Thomas, what's the big problem here? It's fun not to pay as much in taxes, right?
Sure, of course.
You know what the main problem is?
Is it that you have to pay those taxes at some point?
There's always a catch when we're talking about the government giving you something.
Yes,
they giveth on one side, they taketh away over here.
Oh, Lord.
The main problem is that $6,000 that you got to reduce on your taxes, you put it into your IRA, and now it grows for, let's say, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
And now it's, let's just pretend you never put any more money in, that $6,000 grew to $50,000.
Okay, sure.
So the $6,000 you didn't have to pay tax on is now $50,000 you do have to pay tax on.
Yikes.
And here's another zinger. We have no idea what the IRS tax code's going to be in 30 years from now, do we?
We have no idea.
I almost can guarantee you we still will have an IRS. Do you think we'll still have an IRS?
Can I say I hope not?
Hopefully they're not watching, Thomas, so you're going to get a knock on the door.
My name is not on the screen right now, right?
So it's fun. It's that immediate gratification, I call it, where you get that very small tax write-off, but now you have a gigantic tax bill in the future. It's almost like if you were a farmer and you saw away in the distance, you were out in the field one day, and you saw a little, like the smoke that happens, well, not smoke, but it's like you see this
like a dust cloud
coming out of the air.
Yeah.
And then it becomes clear there's 3 big black SUVs coming into your farm, right? And so they all park right in front of the barn. You got your little overalls on, you're walking over to them, you got your hat on, whatever in the field, it's 95 degrees outside, so you're going to take a break anyway, drinking a little water. They all get out with their Men in Black sunglasses on, and they say, Mr. Farmer Thomas, we're going to give you a choice. And the choice is, we can tax you on the seed right now you're planting, and we'll never come back again. You'll never see us again on these seeds you're planting.
Okay, I like
year
that.
after year, you'll never see us again.
Yeah.
Or we won't tax you today, but we're going to come back every single year in the future and tax you on harvest time on whatever that's grown to, whatever these little seeds have grown to. I don't care how many ears of corn, we're going to tax you on each ear of corn.
Sure, no, please don't.
Would you rather pay the tax on the little bag of seed, or would you rather pay the tax every single year on the harvest?
Well, assuming the tax rate is the same between the two, obviously I'd want to pay it on the seed as opposed to the harvest.
I don't even care what the tax rates will be in the future, Thomas. There's no way you win by delaying paying taxation.
Makes sense.
Okay, it
really
makes you feel good this year. We've all had those little decisions in life we made where it made us feel good for a little while and then regret the rest of our life.
Yes, yeah.
This is one of them. So the main regret it should be for you is you haven't found out about the Roth IRA. So what the Roth will do it'll let you put money away after paying tax on it. So let's say you have that $6,000, you pay tax on it, so now you have $5,000, let's say.
Okay.
You put the $5,000 into the Roth IRA, never pay tax on that money regardless of how much it grows to. And when you pass away, if you pass away with a regular IRA or regular 401k, that total amount is taxable to your next of kin. You used to be able to stretch that amount over the lifetime, but now it's 10 years. They have to pay all that tax in 10 years or less.
That's incredible.
Most of the children blow the money right when they get it, so they have a gigantic tax bill at the end of the year.
Oh,
so we have to be very careful about this. But the Roth IRA, the money you left when you died, would be tax-free for them.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like a life insurance policy.
Okay.
So tax-free lifetime income, tax-free distributions to your next of kin. The Roth makes so much sense. Every single advisor I interviewed about that agreed with me, but every single advisor said the same thing. Coach, it's tough to get people to not want to take that immediate tax write-off, even though they're killing themselves in the future.
Yeah, and that's a very tough decision that I think people need to make who are watching out there. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a decision that needs to be made. And again, I want to bring this back up again. You talked about taxes potentially going up in the future. So you're already...
Wait a minute. Let's take a time out, Thomas.
Yeah, let's do it, yeah.
We almost need to throw away that term potentially.
Okay, yeah.
What has the government been doing lately? Have they been firing the printing press up?
A bit.
What's our national debt now that they admit to?
They can put it on the screen. It'll probably be out of date in 2 seconds.
There's funded and unfunded liabilities. We hear about this. It sounds non-threatening. Funded, non-funded, who cares, right? As a general consumer, you should care. We've made so many promises to the government. We've promised everyone to get Social Security. Yeah. We promised Medicare. We have all these giveaway programs.
Yeah. Yep.
The money has to come from somewhere. Money that you haven't paid tax on in your IRAs, your 401ks, is over $20-some trillion now, looking at everybody in America. Wow. The government's looking right at those accounts and saying, gosh, we could pay off a lot of our debt if we raise taxes on retirement accounts. Don't think it's not going to happen. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I think all retirement savings should be tax-free anyway, because the government, if the government made it smart, they would not have us depend on them. But what does the government want to do? It wants you to depend on them. So, take advantage of the Roth IRA.
Yes.
Give a call right now. Let's do your very own comparison based on regular IRA, regular 401k, Roth IRA, Roth 401k, and let's put together a proper strategy to have some of the money at least go into the Roth.
Absolutely. Folks, call the number that you see on the screen or give us a text. We'd be honored to sit down with you. Coach Pete and his team are proud to offer our friends out there, our viewers out there, true financial understanding, common sense planning, straight talk instead of the double talk that you get out there often in the financial industry. You can tell here on the show we try to make this easy to understand. We try to break open topics and be as transparent as possible. That's the same experience that you're going to have when you come in and meet with us to get that total retirement income plan. So again, call the number you see on the screen, shoot us a text. We'd be honored to meet with you. And we do have to take a quick break, but stay tuned because there's more Financial Safari right after this.
How much money can you afford to lose? That's the big question. Every person I sit in front of, I ask them, how much money are you willing to lose? And they say, none. Absolutely none. Then I look at their finances and they are 95% in the red bucket, which can lose money. Hi, my name is Greg Berrien, and I proudly serve the Wilmington community for Capital Financial, and we want to employ the bucket strategy for you so you don't lose money in your retirement.
Take advantage of meeting with a professional who will create a one-page financial review that will indicate if you're in need of a full-blown financial plan. Take the mystery out of financial planning by mapping out where you are now.
All right, welcome back into the Financial Safari. Consumer advocate Thomas Lipscomb here with you again. Alongside me is best-selling author Coach Pete D'Arruda.
That's what they call him, Thomas.
That is. Now, you have launched an entire website with many of your resources and materials to help folks out there who are planning for retirement just be all the more prepared as they head into it.
Too many people in my life, Thomas, not just the financial world, but in the world in general, have said they had some information, but you have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it.
Sure, yes.
I'm not lying about that. You look at
That's
anywhere
true.
you have to keep clicking and reading, and then you get to somewhere and they want to zonk you with some money.
Yep.
This is a chance for you to get totally free financial information that is valuable.
Yes.
Not just some teaser stuff like I see a lot of folks out there. This is real stuff. These are some of the books I've written, some of the help manuals I've written. You can go to PeteOnDemand.com, P-E-T-E, ondemand.com, and there is a wealth of information, no pun intended.
I like that
Or maybe
word.
pun intended.
I like that word.
All right, so one of the things is you can get some of my audiobooks. Now you can go to Amazon and buy them for like $20 on Audible, or
course.
you can go right there to PeteOnDemand.com and download the audiobooks for 7 Baby Steps, for Fine Print Fiasco, if you're buying a house, a car, if you're thinking about a mortgage or a timeshare or reverse mortgage. I wrote a book all about that, and I give you the facts. And we have an audiobook for that.
That's right, we do. It's fantastic. And you can get it by going, again, to PeteOnDemand.com, one of our latest resources that folks out there have absolutely loved. We've seen a lot of people downloading this content as our Medicare cheat sheet.
Oh, yeah.
That's on there as well. And what we've tried to do with that is take the 400 pages that the government put out.
Somebody actually read this when we first put it out, and it's only been out a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But they emailed, said they took a picture of all the government manuals they were trying to write through. They said, you took all these and consolidated it down to something that made sense.
It's not easy, but we do
That's
it.
why we call it a cheat sheet. Now, you're not cheating anything.
No.
You're cheating time, because you're not going to waste a lot of time and a lot of frustrations going through all the government guidebooks. You and Greg Berrien did a great
Yes.
job putting that together. Folks, it is a valuable resource for anyone who is thinking about Medicare, the prescription drug plan, Medicare Advantage. Read about it. So you don't make the mistakes. And a lot of mistakes are made that cost you thousands over your lifetime if you make the wrong choices.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
And
more.
We want to save you money. That's what it comes down to. So that's there as well.
It is, yeah. And again,
Yep.
all this stuff available for free on PeteOnDemand.com. I absolutely love that. Now, on the program, we've been going through one of your books, which is also available on PeteOnDemand.com. It's Have You Been Talking to Financial Aliens? It's a fantastic resource. I appreciate that we've been able to break this open, share some tips with our viewers out there, and I'd like to get back into it.
There's a picture of me in the radio studio there from like 15 years ago without the beard or anything, so you get to see that too.
Get a little zoomed in shot there.
When I first started growing my beard 4 years ago, my daughter hated it. My daughter
Oh, did
Carrie.
she?
She
Yeah.
was 10 years old. She told my wife, "I don't like Daddy's beard. He's
Yeah,
scary."
yeah.
Now she says, "Daddy, please never shave the beard."
Oh, she's
So
got
yeah,
me
that's
serious
what happens
shots
right there, right?
Very
So
nice.
yeah, well,
I'm trying to mimic.
yeah.
I'm trying to mimic. So no, I have a question for you here. You address it in chapter 2 of this book, and we've been hinting at these things, but what are your favorite asset classes?
Oh, asset classes. Now,
Yeah.
asset classes are where you put money. Where can I put my money? Well, I can put it in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I can put it in CDs, annuities, real estate investment trust, real estate in general. There's so many places. I could bury in the backyard if I want. And I actually
Good.
had a farmer client years ago. We went out in the backyard, and he dug up mason jars and said, "Well, you need to take this money." Oh, and it stunk, Thomas.
Oh,
You need to
that's
take
so
this down to the bank and put it in, because we don't take cash when we're putting money in investments. That's like money laundering stuff right there. But
Sure.
he had never trusted anybody. So it's equivalent of putting it under the pillow, under the
Okay,
pillow account.
okay,
So,
okay.
all right, so asset classes, right?
Yes.
Where should we put our money? Well, when we're younger, we should take more risk. But we don't want to take risk with no reason. And that's what I see a lot of times. People say, well, my broker said the more risk I take, the more I'm going to gain. That's absolutely false.
Okay.
There's no guarantees. And then I've also heard, well, my broker said the market's average 10%, or that's what a guy on the radio said, the market averages 10% a year. That's all I need to do is buy a mutual fund, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Until you buy the mutual fund, and it doesn't do that.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So come on, folks. There's no secret bullet. There's no golden goose out there, but there is proper combinations and combination of asset classes, Thomas. I like the theory, and the theory we practice is core and explore. Have some money in a core account, that's an asset class, and explore account, which is an asset class too. That's stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
explore can go up and down. The core can never go down. It has growth potential. It has protection from financial termites, risk, fees, commissions, market fluctuations, and then it has lifetime income you can never outlive. You know what the most important asset class to me is?
What's that?
Is lifetime income for the rest of your life that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to depend on the stock market to finance your retirement, because if you do that, your retirement could be fine, and then it could be not fine. If you do the core account, you're always going to get that financial fill-up. That's a check delivered to your mailbox each and every year for the rest of your life, regardless of what happens in the stock market. Folks, you will not believe this till you see it. Totally authorized, no dirty tricks, no gimmicks. It is what it is. Insurance industry offers the financial fill-up strategy, which will give you lifetime checks, insured money. You're not going to have to worry about it ever going away, and you're not going to have anybody pulling the carpet out from under you right when you need the money the most.
Yeah, it's great, and I think a lot of folks out there just aren't aware that there are things like this that even exist. I know that this is something that I learned fresh from you, and I appreciate learning about it because it's going to help me in the future. But
well, as a fiduciary, that's what we have to do. We have to show you everything out there, and then we show you what benefits you the most.
Ah, okay, yes.
That's what a fiduciary planning firm does. And folks, there's a lot of, if your planner calls themselves a broker, or if they have something called a Series 7, which is stockbroker's license, they are not a true fiduciary. Now, 65, Series 65 investment advisor license is required to be, or 66 is required to be a true fiduciary. Okay. And so we need to make sure that we understand what motivates our advisor. We, as fiduciaries, cannot reach into your money and take commissions out. Okay, we can't take commissions out. You'd be amazed how many people have come in with real estate investment trusts where they put $100,000 in, but when they got their first statement, their value was $90,000 or $92,000 because the commissions came out of that money.
Oh, wow.
So now you're already playing from behind.
Sure.
I don't like playing from behind. I like having a lead and then isolating the bad things and making sure we keep that lead going forward. We can do that. It's not as hard as you think. It is hard if you're dealing with someone who doesn't want you to know about this, isn't a true independent fiduciary planning firm. If they're working for one company, they're going to be selling that company's products all the time. Now, that may benefit some of you, but it may not benefit some of you. So what's more important, having access to the whole financial universe or having access to a very small hallway and that's all the broker can offer?
No, it doesn't sound
To me, we need to put ourselves ahead and we need to ask ourselves, whose retirement are we funding, ours or our brokers? Understanding asset classes and dealing with a firm that understands the proper combination of asset classes is valuable for you all the way through retirement. Thomas, it's $100,000 value, not $100,000, $1,000 value. The next 10 people who call us, we leave for the week, we will put together for you your very own true total retirement plan that will give you confidence all the way through retirement.
Folks, call the number you see on the screen or shoot a text message to the number that you see on the screen, and we would be honored to set you up with a total retirement income plan. Folks, that is it for the program. This show is absolutely flown by. I appreciate Coach being here, and we will see you next week right here on the Financial Safari.